two of us being together, and now I'm not worried. Phew, sometimes men are really self-centered or rough in bed. Or it just feels all wrong. I smiled at her. Slept with a lot of men, huh? Jamila made a little face. Cute. I'm 36 years old. I was married for 4 years, engaged another time. I date some. Not too much lately, but some. How about you? Was I your first? Why? Did it seem like it? Answer the question, smart guy. I was married once, too, I finally said. Jamila lightly punched my shoulder. Then she rolled over on top of me. I'm really glad I came to Washington. Took a little nerve on my part. I was definitely scared. Oh, Inspector Jamila Hughes was scared. Well, so was I admitted. How come? What scared you about me, Alex? Some women are so self-centered, or rough in bed. Jamila leaned over and kissed me, probably to shut me up. Her lips were soft and sweet. We kissed, a long, lingering one. I was ready again, and so was she. Jamila pulled me close, and I moved inside her. This time I was on top. I am your love slave, completely submissive, she whispered against my cheek. I'm definitely glad I came to Washington. Our second time together was even better than the first, and also edged out the third time. No, there had been nothing for either of us to be afraid of. Jamila and I stayed at the hotel through the afternoon and into the early evening. It was almost impossible to leave. As it had been right from the start with the two of us, we found it easy to talk about anything on the planet. I'll tell you something really strange, she said. And the more I'm with you, the stranger this seems to me. See, my first husband and I could never really talk. Not the way you and I do. And we still got married. I don't know what I was thinking. A little while later, Jamila got up and disappeared into the bathroom. I saw the light flash on the telephone on the nightstand. She was making a call. Once a detective? Oh boy, here we go. When she came out, she confessed. I had to call work. Murder case I'm on out there is a mess. Nasty stuff. Sorry. Won't happen again, I promise. I'll be good. Or bad. Whatever you want me to be. No, it's fine. I understand, I said. I did, of course. Sort of, anyway. I saw so much of myself in Jamila. The detective. I think that was a good thing. I hugged her and held her close once she got back into bed. Then the truth finally came out. It was my turn to confess. Long time ago, I told her. I was at this hotel with my wife. Jamila pulled back a little. She looked deeply into my eyes. That's okay, she said. Doesn't mean anything. Except I really love that you were guilty about it. That's nice. I'll always remember that about my trip to Washington. Your first trip, I said. My first trip. Jamila agreed. Chapter 38. Our time together in Washington raced by like a couple of blinks of an eye, and before I knew it, Jamila had to go back to San Francisco. Sunday afternoon at a very crowded Reagan National. Fortunately, my badge got me out to the gate area. I was bummed to see her leave, and I didn't think she wanted to go, actually. The two of us hugged for a long time at the gate and didn't much care if anyone was staring. Then Jam had to run to her plane. Or miss it. Why don't you just stay another night? I asked. Lots of planes tomorrow. And the next day. Day after that. I really like this, she said as she pulled away from me and started to backpedal. Bye, Alex. Please miss me. I liked Washington more than I thought I would. A flight attendant followed her in and closed the door between us. Geez. I even liked the way Jamila ran. She glided. And I did miss her already. I was starting to fall again, and that scared me. That night at home, I was up long after midnight. At one particularly low point, I went out to the sun porch and sat at the piano, playing a pretty pathetic Someone to Watch Over Me, thinking about Jamila Hughes, romanticizing like hell, loving every painful second of it. I wondered what was going to happen to the two of us. Then I remembered something Samson had once said. "Don't ever be Alex's girlfriend. It's dangerous." Unfortunately, he had been right so far. A few minutes later, I became aware of banging on the screen door out front. I went around and found Samson leaning against the door jamb. He didn't look real good. Actually, he looked awful. Chapter 39. He was unshaved, his clothes wrinkled, his eyes red and swollen. I had the feeling he'd been drinking. Then I opened the door and smelled liquor all over him, as if he'd taken a bath in the stuff. "Figured you'd be up." He slurred out a few words. "Knew you would be." Yeah, he'd been drinking. A lot. I hadn't seen John like this in a long time, maybe ever. He didn't look real happy either. "Come on inside," I said. "Come on, John." "Don't need to go anywhere," he said loudly. "Don't need any more help from you. You helped enough, man." "What the hell is wrong with you?" I said, and tried again to guide him inside the house. He shook loose, his long, powerful arms flailing. "What did I say?" "I don't need your help," he yelled at me. "You already fucked up enough." "The great Dr. Cross, yeah, right. Not this time. Not for Alice Cooper." I took a step back away from him. "Keep your voice down. Everybody's sleeping inside, you hear me?" "Don't tell me what the hell to do." "Don't you fucking dare," he snarled. "You fucked up." "We fucked up, but you're supposed to be so smart." I finally told Samson, "Go home and sleep it off." I shut the door on him. But he pulled it open again. Almost took the damn thing off its hinges. "Don't walk away from me either," he yelled. Then he shoved me hard. I let it go. But Samson pushed again. That was when I lunged at him. I'd had enough of his drunken shit. The two of us tumbled down the wooden steps and onto the lawn. We wrestled on the ground, and then he tried to throw a punch. I blocked it. Thank God he was too messed up to throw a straight punch. "You fucked up, Alex. You let Cooper die," he yelled in my face as we both struggled to our feet. I refused to hit him, but he struck out at me again. The punch connected with my cheek. I went down as if I didn't have any legs. I sat there, stunned, my eyes glazing over. Samson pulled me up, and by this time he was gasping and wheezing. He tried for a headlock. Christ, he was strong. He connected with a short, hard punch to the side of my face. I went down again, but struggled back up. We were both groaning. I hurt where he'd hit me on the point of my cheekbone. He threw a roundhouse punch that missed by an inch. Then a hard blow caught my shoulder and made it ache. I warned myself to stay away from him. He had me by 4 inches and 40 pounds. He was drunk, angry, insane as I'd ever seen him. He wouldn't stop coming at me. Samson was filled with rage. I had to take him down if I could, somehow. But how? I finally hit him with an uppercut to the stomach. I jabbed his cheek, drew blood. Then I fired a short right hand into his jaw. That one had to hurt. "Stop it! Stop it right now! Both of you, stop!" I heard the voice ringing in my ear. "Alex! John! Stop this disgraceful behavior! Stop it, you two! Just stop it!" Nana was pulling the two of us apart. She was wedged in between us like a small but determined referee. She'd done it before, but not since we were 12 years old. Samson straightened up and looked down at Nana. "Sorry," he mumbled. "I'm sorry, Nana." He looked ashamed. Then he stumbled away without saying a word to me. Chapter 40. I went down to breakfast the next morning a little before 6. Samson was sitting there, eating eggs and his personal favorite, farina. Nana Mama was across from him at the table, just like old times. They were talking quietly as if sharing a deep secret that no one else should know. "Am I interrupting?" I asked from the doorway. "I think we have it sorted out now," Nana said. She motioned for me to sit at the breakfast table. I poured coffee first, popped in 4 slices of whole wheat toast, and then finally sat down with Nana and Samson. He had a big glass of milk propped in front of him. I couldn't help remembering back to when we were kids. 2 or 3 mornings a week he'd show up about this time to break bread with Nana and me. Where else could he go? His parents were junkies. In a way, Nana had always been like a mother or grandmother to him, too. He and I had been like brothers since we were 10. That's why the fight the night before was so disturbing. "Let me talk, Nana," he said. She nodded and sipped her tea. I'm pretty sure why I chose psychology for a career, and who my original role model was. Nana has always been the best shrink I've seen. She's wise and compassionate for the most part, but tough enough to insist on the truth. She also knows how to listen. "I'm sorry, Alex. I didn't sleep last night. I feel awful about what happened. I was way over the line," Samson said. He was staring into my eyes, forcing himself not to look away. Nana watched the two of us as if we were Cain and Abel sitting at her breakfast table. "You were over the line all right," I said. "That's for sure. You were also crazy last night. How much did you drink before you came over?" "John told you he was sorry," Nana said. "Nana," he turned to her, then back to me. "Ellis Cooper was like a brother to me. I can't get over the execution, Alex. In a way, I'm sorry I went to see it. He didn't kill those women. I thought we could save him, so it's my fault. I expected too much." He stopped talking. "So did I said. "I'm sorry we failed. Let me show you something. Come upstairs. This is about payback now. There's nothing left but payback." I brought Samson to my office in the attic of the house. I had notes on Army murder cases pinned all over the walls. The room looked like the hideout of a madman, one of my obsessive killers. I took him to my desk. "I've been working on these notes since I met Ellis Cooper. I found 2 more of these remarkable cases, one in New Jersey, the other in Arizona. The bodies were painted, John." I took Samson through the cases, sharing everything. "Along the way," I told him, "I learned that the Pentagon has been working to prevent over 1,000 deaths the peacetime military suffers every year from high-speed car crashes, suicides, and murders. Still, during the past year, more than 60 soldiers have been murdered." "60?" Samson said and shook his head. 60 murders a year? "Most of the violence has to do with sex and hate crimes," I said. "Rapes and murders. Homosexuals who've been beaten or killed. A series of vicious rapes by an army sergeant in Kosovo. He didn't think he'd get caught because there was so much rape and killing going on there anyway." "Were any other bodies painted?" he wanted to know. I shook my head. "Just the 2 cases I found, New Jersey and Arizona." "But that's enough. It's a pattern." "So what do we really have?" Samson shook his head and looked at me. "I don't know yet. It's hard to get information out of the Army. Something very nasty going on. It looks like soldiers may have been framed for murder. The first was in New Jersey. The latest seems to be Ellis Cooper. There are definite similarities, John. Murder weapons found a little too conveniently. Fingerprints and DNA used to convict. All of these men had good service records. In the Arizona murder case transcripts, there was a mention of 2 or 3 men seen near the victim's house before the homicide took place. There's a possibility that innocent men have been framed and then wrongfully put to death. framed.